It's time to shift. We're shifting our mindsets. We're preparing ourselves for 2024. We're going to seize every opportunity, and we're going to learn how to adapt to change. I am Catherine Trotter, your host of The Shift. So as we gear up for next year, we have now officially, obviously, we've been in the month of October for several days now. And I just want to talk briefly about seizing the opportunity and adapting to change. This whole podcast show series that takes place on Tuesdays is all about learning about how do we shift? How do we shift our mindset? How do we prepare ourselves for where we're going, the next place, the next chapter in our life, right? When we look at the word seize, it means to take hold of suddenly, sometimes even forcibly. It means to look at an opportunity and to take an initiative and go after it. I'm reading this book right now called Relentless by Tim S. Grover. And it's absolutely powerful. It has been impacting my life in so many ways. And I think one of the things that really impacted me was at the beginning of the book when he was talking about how he was a trainer for athletes. However, in his beginning phases of his career, no one knew his name. And it was an opportunity for him to try to get Michael Jordan. But he had second guessed himself at that time initially. But then it was a season when Michael was looking for a new type of style of a trainer, someone that could bring a fresh perspective to the table. So he said he might as well give it another try. And what I got from that is no matter who knows your name, you have to put your hat in the ring and you have to seize the opportunity. It was a moment in opportunity where Michael was looking for something different, and he was that difference maker in his life. So I want you to think about yourself. What opportunity can you be seizing right now, but you might be second guessing yourself? You might not take that initiative to apply for that opportunity because you say no one knows my name. I want to encourage you. It's time to adapt to change. It's time to be relentless about every opportunity that's around you. When we think about the word opportunity, it means a set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something. Sometimes there's circumstances that will happen in our life and we will say, how did it happen? Why did it happen? And sometimes we're not going to understand. We may not have all the answers. But I want you to think about the circumstances that's going on in your life at this present moment. And I want you to ask yourself, because of this situation, what door of possibility did it open for you? What door of possibility did it open for you? And by that door opening, sometimes it creates a shift that allows us to be entered into a space of change. And sometimes the change doesn't feel good. Sometimes we have to know how to adapt to that change. When we think about the word adapt, it means to make something suitable for a particular purpose. It means to modify. The word adapt means to alter. It means to adjust. It means to convert. It means to transform, redesign, restyle, refashion, remodel, and reshape, to become accustomed to new conditions. I ask you, what new conditions do you think you're entering into? We're in the fourth quarter of 2023, and I'm telling you, January 1, 2024 is going to be here before we know it. What are you going to do this fourth quarter to redesign your life, to transform, to restyle, to repurpose your life, right? Because sometimes we end up going through life day after day and it has absolutely no meaning to it. I mean, we're just going through the motions. I think it's time out from going through the motions. If you're saying to yourself, listening to this segment, saying, you know what, I want to redesign my life. I want to reshape it. I want to remodel it. I want to refashion it. Then continue to listen to this episode until the very end. I want to encourage you that no matter what you may have faced in your life, no matter what you have gone through in your life, that there's an opportunity on the other side of your fear. There's an opportunity on the other side of you second guessing yourself. There's an opportunity on the other side of doubt. There's an opportunity waiting for you. But you can't seize it. You can't grab hold to it. You can't taste it. You can't feel it. You can't even bring it into your circle because there's a barrier hindering forward movement. What is that barrier? You know, even in my life, I had to examine my barriers. Sometimes it was barriers in my own mindset, barriers in my situations that was around me, and I did not tackle those situations effectively all the time. Therefore, it clouded my judgment, clouded my thinking, clouded my direction. When I got to a space, and I'm always growing. I have not arrived. I'm still growing. But at the level that I had to grow to open up new doors, I had to say to doubt, you no longer can live in this space. I had to say to fear, you no longer can live in this space. I had to say to anything I've ever been rejected to, that just because I was rejected from one thing, that does not mean I'm going to constantly be rejected in every area of my life. And I also had to realize rejection isn't always a bad thing. It's a redirection. It's redirection. Sometimes we say we're not going to even try to go in a new door of opportunity because the last door we was rejected. It's time to try a new door. It's time to go into another space. It's time to go higher. It's time to elevate. It's time to evolve. It's time to redesign your life. What would your life look like if you even attempted to redesign your life? What would that look like? What would it look like? When we think about the next couple of months, October, November, December, 3 months of execution, what are you going to execute on that's going to help position you to walk into a new opportunity? Over the next 3 months, what do you need to look at in your circle, in your situation of your life that you may need to shift and learn how to adapt to a new possibility, a new change in your life? I want to encourage you, don't forfeit the promise that you know that you're supposed to be walking into because of whatever previous situations you have came out of. Don't forfeit the promise. It's time to execute. When we look at the word execute, it means to carry out or to put into effect a plan, a course of action. In addition to that, when we think about moving forward, when we have to see the promise in front of us, and sometimes we may not know all the steps in order to accomplish it. But at that point in time, that's when you have to sit down with yourself, get quiet with yourself, and write the vision. I tell people all the time they have ideas and they may not know how to bring it all to pass. I say just sit down and write the first couple of things that come to your mind. And then you put it in categories of what's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so forth. So write it down and then put it in order of importance. Don't forfeit the promise that's on your life. The word forfeit means to lose or to deprive yourself of something. Forfeit also means to lose the right to. When we think about the word promise, it is a declaration or an assurance that something is going to happen. It's a declaration. So what type of declarations have you made over yourself? And if you haven't done so, I want you to make a declaration now that every single thing that you see for yourself will come to pass. Everything that you've spoken over yourself, and if you haven't spoken over yourself, I want you to speak over yourself right now, that those things that you may have thought about, but you was too timid to speak it out of your mouth, that you're going to speak it out of your mouth right now, because there's no good thing that will be withheld from you. There's a promise on your life. There's a declaration that you need to speak out of your mouth, and then you got to go to work. You got to have action. It's time to cross over the finish line. What are we crossing over? You think about a track star, right? A race. And there's many track stars on the race, and they're all trying to get to that finish line. That's just us. We're all trying to cross over to next year. We're all trying to make it to another destination. But sometimes in that process, there's giants that will pop up in our life to try to allow us to stop in our dead tracks, because we say that giant is too big, the giant in front of us is too strong, I cannot slay the giant. I say to you today that you are a giant slayer. And I need you to slay the giant that's in front of you, whether it's in your mindset, whether it's people around you, whether it's self-doubt, whether it's fear, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression. I need you to slay the giant before January 1st, 2024. Slay the giant. This is your season of possibility to birth new things and to move forward. There's a quote that says, a horse that doesn't set foot on the track is certainly never going to cross the finish line, let alone win the race. If you don't get in the game of your own life, not someone else's life, your own life, if you don't step foot on the track to your own life and not just merely existing, moving on fumes, you have to step and get in the race, and you got to cross the finish line. The word finish means to complete. What are those things that you need to complete? What are those things that you need to finish? Don't stop till you cross the finish line, to the next chapter in your life, to the next destination, to the next year that we are going into, 2024. What race are you running? There's another quote that says, it doesn't matter how fast you cross the finish line if you're running the wrong race. I ask you today, what race are you running? Sometimes we covet other people's lives. We don't know what other people are going through. It may look pretty on the outside, but we have no idea what they're going through. It's time for us to get in the race of our own life, and it's time for us to cross over. When we think about the word cross, it means a specific directional point, and oftentimes it is in different directions. It's an intersection. It's an opposite of something. It's an opposite, right? Opposite. When we think about the word over, it means succession, the next thing, growth, an extension, a direction that you're moving away, right? Moving away from something and moving into something. It is a directional point. So what are you crossing over into? What are you crossing over into? There's another quote that says, life is a race, and what matters most isn't when a person crosses the finish line, but how strong they've grown along the way. Think about everything you've gone through just this year. And I know a lot of people have gone through things since 2020, since COVID-19. I mean, it rocked everyone's world. But what can you say after you examine everything you've been through? Analyze everything you've been through. Think about everything you've been through. How much have you grown? How much have you gone to another level in your life mentally? Mentally, right? You're going to be faced with different challenges. You're going to be faced with the giants in your life. But how have you grown mentally? It's time to take it to the next level. It's time to seize your opportunity. It's time to learn how to adapt to change. Life is ever evolving. Life is always changing. I was reading an article, and it was saying by 2050 that the majority of all of the cars are going to be electric. By 2050, that's in about 16 years. The prediction is everyone is going to have an electric car. So in the next 16 years, can you imagine what type of evolution is going to take place just in the car industry, which is going to impact the drivers, which is going to impact anything dealing with the car industry, the insurance company, car insurance, everything is going to have a ripple effect. A shift is happening. A shift will happen with or without you. But you have to be the person that's in the car seat of your life, and you're doing the shifting for yourself. Because if you're not in the car seat, if you're not doing the shifting, someone is going to shift gears on you. And the question is, where are they going to take you to? Where are they going to drive you to? Is it going to be the destination you intended for yourself, or where they want to take you? You got to get back in the driver's seat. You got to get back in the driver's seat, and you got to know where you want to go. Stop taking polls and surveys from every